This is VOA News. Via remote, I'm Marissa Melton. The UN nuclear watchdog's chief arrived in Tehran on Friday amid hopes of reviving a 2015 accord between Iran and world powers. Britain says a deal among the parties is close. The visit by International Atomic Energy Agency head Rafael Grossi, who is set to meet Iranian officials Saturday, is seen as critical to clinching agreement over a return to the nuclear deal and comes in parallel to negotiations in the Austrian capital to salvage the accord. Iran's Atomic Energy Organization announced Grossi's arrival in Tehran Friday. He's to meet with Iran's chief on Saturday, the chief of the nuclear organization. Grossi wrote on Twitter on Friday, quote, "This is a critical time, but a positive outcome for everyone is possible." The next few days are widely seen as crunch time for the negotiations on Iran's nuclear program. The latest round of negotiations started in Vienna in late November. The U.S. Supreme Court on Friday reinstated the death penalty sentence for Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. The 6-3 ruling overturns a federal appeals court decision to void the sentence. That 2020 ruling by the First Circuit Court of Appeals overturned Tsarnaev's federal death penalty and instead sentenced the Kyrgyzstan-born terrorist to life without parole. The appeals court said the trial judge improperly excluded evidence that showed Dzhokhar was heavily influenced by his older brother, Tamerlan, who also took part in the bombing and later died in a shootout with police. The attack on April 15, 2013, killed 3 spectators and injured more than 260 others. This is VOA News. A Capitol rioter from Idaho has gotten 4 years in prison for attacking police. AP correspondent Mike Gracia has more.
A 68-year-old logger from Nampa, Idaho, has been sentenced to more than 4 years in federal prison for his actions as part of the mob that stormed the U.S. Capitol last year. Duke Edward Wilson pleaded guilty last September to assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers and obstructing an official proceeding. Prosecutors said Wilson attacked at least 3 officers in a tunnel in the U.S. Capitol building, and he hit a police officer with a pipe during the riot. Wilson told U.S. District Judge Royce Lamberth he didn't remember any of his actions. Lamberth sentenced Wilson to 51 months in prison, the maximum allowed under federal sentencing guidelines. I'm Mike Gracia.
A federal court ruled Friday that the United States can continue to expel certain migrants who cross the U.S.-Mexico border unless they would be returned to a country where they might face persecution or torture. The ruling by a 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit allows a rule known as Title 42, implemented during the Trump administration at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, to largely stay in effect. The case was brought by a group of migrants who were represented by the American Civil Liberties Union. The court ruled the migrants who entered the United States without authorization can be expelled from the United States immediately, but not to a country where their life or freedom would be threatened, or to a country where they would likely be tortured. Hiring by U.S. businesses picked up last month as the Omicron variant of the coronavirus faded and more Americans started to spend time eating out, shopping, and staying in hotels despite climbing inflation. U.S. employers added 678,000 jobs in February. This is according to the Labor Department on Friday. This gain underscores the American economy's solid health. The unemployment rate dropped from 4% to 3.8% in January, sending joblessness to its lowest level since the pandemic began 2 years ago this month. In a statement on Friday, U.S. President Joe Biden said his plan, quote, "to build America from the bottom up and the middle out," is working. Software giant Microsoft announced Friday that it is suspending all new sales of Microsoft products and services in Russia over that country's invasion of Ukraine. The company said it was stopping many aspects of its business in Russia in compliance with governmental sanctions decisions. It also said in a statement, "Like the rest of the world, we are horrified, angered, and saddened by the images and news coming from Ukraine." Other companies that announced they are ending business with Russia are Apple, Nike, and Dell Technologies. Via remote, I'm Marissa Melton, VOA News. This is VOA News. Via remote, I'm Marissa Melton. Tens of thousands of people demonstrated in European cities on Saturday to demonstrate support for Ukraine and call for an end to the Russian invasion. Several thousand people gathered in Paris Saturday afternoon to condemn the war. Organizers in Zurich, Switzerland, say thousands protested there on Saturday. Hundreds gathered in Trafalgar Square in London. Protests also took place in Rome and in Zagreb, the Croatian capital. Last weekend, hundreds of thousands also turned out in Ukraine's colors of yellow and blue across Europe, including protests in Russia, Germany, Spain, and the Czech Republic. The number of refugees that have fled fighting Ukraine has now reached 1.4 million. Meanwhile, the Russian attacks continue. AP's Karen Chamas has more.
The number of refugees that have fled fighting in Ukraine has now reached 1.4 million as the war continues to rage throughout the besieged country. Arriving in Romania with just the clothes on her back, Ukrainian refugee Lena Nesterova remembers the hour her fate was sealed.
It was the 24th of February, 5:34. We live in the central part of the city. We got up and hear the bombs in Kyiv. We take daughter, dog, only documents, and left.
United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, believes the final number of people fleeing could be as high as 4 million.
When we started, I thought, well, maybe this is, God forbid we reach that figure. It's a lot, but now I'm getting worried that we will.
I'm Karen Chamas.
You can keep up on all the Ukraine coverage at our website, voanews.com. This is VOA News. Iran and the International Atomic Energy Agency said Saturday after talks in Tehran that they agreed on an approach to resolve issues crucial in efforts to revive the country's 2015 nuclear deal. The announcement came shortly before Russia said it would seek guarantees from the United States before it backs the deal. That's a factor which might delay any final results. IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi said the UN agency and Iran, quote, did have a number of important matters that we needed to resolve. He added, however, that they had now decided to try a practical, pragmatic approach to overcome them. The Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, the president, Mohammad Islami, said the two sides are due to exchange some relevant documents by May the 22nd. The death toll from a suicide attack at a Shiite mosque in northwest Pakistan rose to 62 overnight. As police said Saturday, they would try to identify the bomber from 2 severed feet found at the scene. Police also released CCTV footage of Friday's attack showing a man dressed in a traditional tunic shoot 2 policemen as he entered the mosque in Peshawar. He then detonated a suicide vest packed with ball bearings, which ripped through the building. The space was crowded with people as Friday prayers were about to start. The Islamic State group has claimed responsibility for that attack. Women's basketball all-star Brittany Griner was arrested last month at a Moscow airport after Russian authorities said a search of her luggage revealed vape cartridges. The Russian Customs Service said Saturday that the cartridges were identified as containing oil derived from cannabis, which could carry a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison. The Customs Service identified the person as a player for the U.S. Women's Basketball League. Russian media reported the player was Griner. Her agent, Lindsay Kagawa-Kolas, did not dispute those reports. The State Department has urged all Americans in Russia to depart immediately. MasterCard and Visa are suspending their operations in Russia. It's the latest blow to Russia's financial system after its invasion of Ukraine. MasterCard said Saturday that its cards issued by Russian banks will no longer be supported by its network, and any card issued outside the country will not work at Russian stores or ATMs. Visa says it's working with clients and partners in Russia to cease all Visa transactions over the coming days. Many other companies around the world have also made moves to up the financial pressure on Russia and its people because of the attacks on Ukraine. Via remote, I'm Marissa Melton. You're listening to VOA News.